Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Prime Minister receives failing grade following Sunday's GLP conference. 2 dead after train derailed in St. Anne. And later in sports, England crushed Iran in Group B World Cup. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has received a failing grade for his presentation on crime and plans for the future of the country. The poor rating comes as political commentators say Mr. Holness only repeated information which was already in the public domain. The individuals were speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106. Codian Barrett reports.
Not enough. That's the view of at least 2 political commentators in response to the address by Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the GLP's annual conference on Sunday. Kevin Chang, Lloyd B. Smith, and youth advocate Sabrina Barnes say while some information was given, the Prime Minister could have gone into much more details.
It is still dealing with symptoms rather than seeking to deal with the causes. And until the government comes up with some very specific programs that work and not just PR-type opportunities, then we are still going to see the murder figures rising.
According to the police, 1,363 murders have been recorded across the island up to November 16. That's a 5.9% increase compared to the similar period last year. Mr. Chang is concerned about the motorbikes, which have been featured in a number of those murders.
I heard about the state of emergency, but what about getting the yang-yang, the motorbikes off the road? That's one of the main concerns I hear when I talk to people. They feel so afraid of all these illegal bikes and fill-on riders, and it's not being addressed. And the crime plan yesterday didn't say anything about that.
However, the young people say they were left unimpressed with the content from the conference. Youth advocate Sabrina Barnes says for her, it was more a celebration of the JLP's 79 years in existence.
You know, when you talk about a crime plan, and you're telling us that we're supposed to expect one, we can't just get up and have a crime plan when people are out here suffering from poverty. You need to attack poverty first, because it's because of poverty we have crime. So, just to change, the whole execution, that is what I'm expecting as a young individual. I'm sure that's the same thing my parents are expecting, something different. I didn't hear anything, no call to action for young people right now, for us to be a part of the decision-making of the country right now. The only reason why we're such an issue or a problem is because we are removed from the solution.
On the economic front, there were concerns about jobs. Mr. Smith says while the government is adamant that there are jobs around, there is little to no take-up.
Are we going to reach a stage where we have to import labor? And I was hoping that he would have touched on that somewhat, whether it is by way of training and education programs, I don't know. But it's a serious thing, because what's the sense of saying that the jobs are there but they're not being taken up?
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
Now, as the government looks to intensify its crime-fighting efforts, it could turn to private security companies to help fill the gap. The development comes after at least one security company made a proposal to the government recently. More in this report.
With just over a month in 2022, more than 1,300 murders have been recorded. The situation, which has reached crisis level, has again led to questions about lack of resources for the security forces. Earlier this week, private security company Guardsman Limited unveiled a suite of high-tech security solutions, which includes artificial intelligence-powered cameras, cyber intelligence, and aerial surveillance. They called for a partnership from the government.
Honorable Minister Chang, as the leader of the largest security company in Jamaica, my team and I are in a unique position, and along with our nation's security forces, can play a critical role in diminishing crime in Jamaica.
National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang responded to the call.
In the new era, unless there's not only citizens' cooperation, but partnership, collaboration of private sector, we will not overcome the challenges that the criminal elements put on us.
The unveiling comes amidst impending changes to the structure and operations within the private security industry following the recent court ruling involving Guardsman Limited. Science, Energy and Technology Minister Derailment Vaz believes both the security and technology ministries could benefit from the partnership.
This is truly mind-blowing. And what came to mind, DPM and Minister of National Security, with all this infrastructure and all this investment in infrastructure, why would the government need to duplicate this? We need to partner with security companies, as Kenny said and you said, to see how we can make sure that we work together in fighting this scourge of crime.
It's early days yet, but with the country's murder figures climbing daily, it's left to be seen if the partnership will become a reality. Opposition leader Mark Golding weighed in.
It's not going to be easy because there are rigidities in how the public sector operates, which make it relatively slow and cumbersome in maneuvering, but with a correct approach and the political will, the kind of innovation of thinking and action that has been demonstrated here, I think has tremendous potential.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
As the government seeks to have the states of emergency which were imposed last Tuesday extended, the opposition says it will meet today to discuss the matter. Addressing the St. James Central Constituency Conference on Sunday, Mr. Golding said the opposition will be holding a joint parliamentary executive meeting this evening.
And we will take our decision as to what we will do on Tuesday in the House when the resolution comes to extend the state of emergency. I won't preempt that discussion, but you know where my heart is on the issue.
The House of Representatives is expected to vote on the matter during tomorrow's sitting. Mr. Golding has further chastised the government for again imposing a state of emergency when aspects of the measure are still before the courts.
And they have been trying to control this thing by abrogating and abridging the rights of the Jamaican people through using states of emergency in a way that is fundamentally inconsistent with the role of the state of emergency under the Constitution. And they have been taken to court and they've lost twice in court. They're appealing those matters. Those matters have not yet been determined by the Court of Appeal. Yet they're going back with more state of emergency while the issue is unresolved. And
Prime Minister Andrew Holness' stewardship is being hailed as a success by two senior members of the GLP. Dr. Horace Chang and Robert Montague say they are prepared to defend the Prime Minister against anyone who says otherwise. They were speaking at the GLP's annual conference on Sunday. O'Shane Masters reports.
The people them like a cheering, and we're not going to permit it. We're not going to allow it.
Senior members of the GLP in a militant mood at Sunday's conference. They are keen on defending their leader, Andrew Holness, against what they say are unfair and unjustified criticisms.
They have a strategy when we're working hard to target our leaders. They did it to Bustamante. They did it to Mr. Sangster. They did it to Mr. Shearer. They did it to Mr. Siaga. They did it to Bruce Golding. And so help me God, I will not allow them to do that to Andrew Holness. We as Labourites must pledge that we're going to make Andrew the longest serving Prime Minister in the history of Jamaica.
The party chairman added that it is time for overseas partners such as the USA and the UK to have a conversation with local leaders about how Jamaicans travel.
It is full time law-abiding Jamaicans be allowed to travel to our major trading partners without the need for a visa. We as a party must have that discussion. And if the party agree, then we approach the government. And if the government agree, then the government approach our partners. Because we have a duty to protect the security of our partners. Having an interview for 3 minutes and then grant a 1-year, 5-year or a 10-year visa, you don't see back the person until it's time for renewal, don't enhance security. Law-abiding Jamaicans must be rewarded.
GLP General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang, in the meantime, argued that while it would be ideal to get a consensus on certain crime-fighting strategies, the government is not afraid to do what it feels is necessary. His comment comes amidst criticisms of the most recent states of emergency announced by the government in response to the flare-up of crime in some parts of the country.
We expect there to be reasonable men and women, whether in opposition, in the private sector, and the churches, to support the critical work of government. That's why the Charter of Rights was so structured that you have to include the opposition in what you're doing. But it left the avenue. If action is required, Andrew Holness leads a strong government and will take strong action. If we have to go it alone, as the executive will do it. And if necessary, we'll introduce the required legislation at any time, use it to protect Jamaicans.
Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A derailed train in Brownstown, St. Anne has left 2 persons dead and a community traumatized by the incident. The details surrounding the circumstances are not known, but investigations are ongoing. Yellow tape drawn early Monday morning as several onlookers stood in shock and disbelief in Retreat, Brownstown, St. Anne. This is where 2 persons reportedly died after an Oranda bauxite train derailed in the area last night. The operator and a security officer were pronounced dead at hospital. They are Orlando Brown of St. Anne and Shane Powell of a Clarendon address. TVJ News understands that the train developed a mechanical problem, causing it to run off the track close to midnight. One resident says she and her husband were at home when they got the news.
I overheard the conversation that were saying that the train and it derailed and 2 persons died. So by the time I reached my clothes and put on, he left already with them. He took a flashlight and left. So I knew his brother operated the train, so I was wondering if it was something with his brother. So my sister came out and she actually called to them and told them that if it's a train, it's somewhere near because she heard the explosion. So me and my sister, we took a flashlight and we came out by the train line. When we came out there, we saw, I think, about 3 or 4 persons out there, and my husband said the train is over the gully there and the 2 bodies are laying down there.
She said the community is traumatized by the incident.
And to see 2 young lives just gone like that, I'm telling you, it's not a good feeling. So all night persons were going and coming. Until this time, some persons just here, some persons are always going and coming. But it's disheartening, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so this is sad for the community, Sandra.
Very. And also even for the company that is a bauxite company like this that is always helping people, helping a lot of communities, helping in a lot of ways. It's sad both for them and for the families.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for St. Anne Southwestern, Xavier Main, says while he doesn't have all the details, the situation is of concern.
Because, I mean, these are not everyday accidents, and, train operations is something that, from my limited understanding, is highly organized, highly detailed. So for there to be a train accident and in the manner in which I'm told the accident happened, and certainly it is of great concern. But of course, an investigation will flow from this, and I'm sure that will roll out or will indicate the true circumstances.
And it's now time for the Business Minute.
Pan Jam Investment and Jamaica producers JP Group have joined forces to form Pan Jamaica Group. The announcement was made today in a press release which highlighted details of the arrangement, which is subject to the approval of the shareholders of both companies and the relevant regulators. This move will result in Pan Jam acquiring JP's operating assets in exchange for JP taking a 34.5% interest in Pan Jam. Post-transaction, Pan Jam, which will ultimately hold the combined businesses, will be renamed Pan Jamaica Group Limited. Both the renamed Pan Jamaica Group and JP will remain listed on the main market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The transaction is expected to be completed within the first quarter of 2023. In business internationally, Qatar Energy has signed a 27-year deal to supply China's Sinopec with liquefied natural gas LNG. It's the longest such LNG agreement so far, as volatile markets drive buyers to seek long-term deals. In an interview shortly before signing the deal, Qatar Energy chief Saad Al-Kaabi described the move as an important milestone for the first sales and purchase agreement for North Field East project. It is 4 million tons for 27 years to Sinopec of China. He says it signifies long-term deals are here and important for both buyer and seller. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
It's now time for the top regional and international stories. Here's O'Shane Masters.
In the region, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, says health experts from the Caribbean have gathered to develop a roadmap to defeat meningitis in the region by 2030. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates meningitis caused over 200 deaths in 2019, leaving 1 in 5 individuals with long-term conditions after an infection. Meningitis is an infection of the membrane surrounding the brain and the spinal cord. It can be treated successfully with antibiotics once it is detected early. However, if left untreated, it can be fatal, hence the high mortality rate. On the international scene, at least 46 people have died after an earthquake hit Indonesia's capital on Monday. Several buildings were damaged in the earthquake. The magnitude of the earthquake is 5.6. Now, it was centered in the West Java province of the country. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm O'Shane Masters.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jordan Fort.